Jake vs KSI is perhaps one of the most anticipated bouts in the boxing scene in the last few years, and for good reason. The two have been going at it relentlessly for years now, so there's certainly no shortage of bad blood. With that being said, we will be going over how Jake and KSI would stack up against each other and just why we think KSI comes out on top in the fight. Now then, let's get into it. KSI made his boxing debut in 2018 following a successful YouTube career and has already competed in 5 bouts. In his first 2 matches, he played under the amateur banner. He challenged not one but 2 popular YouTubers, Joe Weller and Logan Paul. KSI won by stoppage in his first ever fight against Joe Weller in the 3rd round. The boxer's second professional bout resulted in a draw against Logan Paul, but JJ had to deal with Logan once more. This event happened on November 9, 2019 at the Staples Center. It appeared as though it would end in a tie as well, but KSI came out on top in the end. On August 27th at the O2 Arena in London, he accomplished the unprecedented achievement of fighting 2 boxers in one day. Before anything else, he fought Swarms and won by a score of 2 knockouts. He went on to win a 3rd round technical knockout against Luis Alcaraz Pineda. Recently, he defeated FaZe Temper with a spectacular knockout in the 1st round thanks to Michael Venom Page's signature bounce style, which we'll talk about later. If you look at his record, you'll see that he's yet to lose a single fight, and there are some very solid explanations for this kind of efficiency. To begin, he has excellent cardiovascular health, a must-have for any combat sport. He's got the stamina and the knockout skills to match. His opponents Swarms, Pineda, and Temper were all knocked out in their respective matches. In addition, his rock-solid physique gives him tremendous strength, which he uses to devastate his opponents in the ring. The most significant thing is that he has trained professionally for a long time and that he has trained under a number of world-class coaches. As for Jake, ever since making the switch to the boxing ring, the central question driving both his critics and his supporters has been, is Jake Paul actually a good boxer? No one on either side of the argument seems particularly interested in dissecting Paul's boxing style. It's far simpler to focus on the times when Paul and his brother Logan showed some high levels of questionable and often offensive behavior. Notable among his victories and knockouts are ones over the likes of Tyron Woodley and Nate Robinson. His breakthrough victory came, though, when he defeated Anderson Silva, a legend in mixed martial arts. Nonetheless, Jake Paul's game still has some serious flaws. For example, Jake frequently loses control of his hands when running or hitting. This gives his opponents opportunities to exploit that. His footwork and balance were severely lacking in the first fight with Woodley, as he frequently crossed his feet or was at a distance when he had to broaden his base. The reason this is so detrimental is because this reduced the potential strength of his blows. In addition, Jake would also often look down instead of where he was aiming his punches when landing strong shots. This was more of a problem in their first bout than in their second, when Paul's eyes were focused on Woodley's chin as he landed the knockout right that ended the fight. Now, let's come back to KSI's biggest weapon, his Venom Page-esque technique. KSI's new boxing stance is more akin to karate with his hands down low. Though it's not the conventional style of boxing, many skilled fighters including Michael Venom Page employ it. His low fists make it difficult for his opponents to track them. The fact that KSI spent most of the bout versus Temper with his hands down is another point in favor of the hands down approach now, because he was able to keep Temper at bay this way. Having said that, this isn't always a good thing, rather it's actually a high risk, high reward strategy. This strategy can bring some very exciting possibilities as well as some big openings for your opponent. First and foremost, it helps you keep your breath and strength during a fight. It's not often known, but keeping your hands down during a fight will greatly reduce the strain on your cardiovascular system. An extremely high and tight guard such as Eastside Cruz's is textbook flawless, but maintaining such a position for a long boxing battle may weary your arms and reduce your punching strength. Improved efficiency in moving the body is a second advantage. This is just basic physics at work. Your body can pivot and change direction more freely when your hands are down and relaxed rather than raised in a high and tight guard. When their hands are low and in a tight guard, it's far simpler to avoid crossing the middle line than when their hands are high. This is something KSI exhibited in a Temper fight, swiveling quickly during the fight in order to counteract Tommy's southpaw stance. Changing angles during the fight was one of the biggest factors in KSI's dominating victory. We of course can't discount his overwhelming power either. Not many people that get hit by KSI can survive it, and Jake hasn't had much go against him in terms of sheer pressure and power. KSI will certainly bring that to the table, and according to the man himself, that will be the case. That's what KSI said in a YouTube video analyzing his win over Temper, which was entitled "This is why I'll beat Jake Paul." Assuming they can come to terms, Paul and KSI are slated to fight one another in the ring in December. The Brit insists on having the battle in the UK, being the A side and setting the weight, but he'll have to give in to his longtime rival's demands in order to make the match happen. Initial negotiations between Jake Paul and British fighter Tommy Fury fizzled out last year when Fury was unable to make it to the United States owing to travel concerns. However, the two are expected to finally meet in the ring this February. The Problem Child has a lot to gain from this matchup, as it will be the first time Jake faces an opponent of similar talent. If Jake were to lose to Tommy Fury though, KSI has warned that their bout is likely off. Let's hope that doesn't happen to us for the sake of our entertainment. So who do you think wins, Jake Paul or KSI? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.